cares whether he was in jail? Why are you telling us about jail, man? This nigga is coming to us and he's telling in parliament and he's talking about his time in prison. Who cares about your time in prison? I didn't even know this guy was in prison. This is the podcast of the hour. Too sweet to be sour. What you see is what you get. What you don't is better yet. It's South Africa's picnic. It's great. And if you haven't subscribed, you've made a bad bet. Now, like and subscribe and get ready to get into a deep dive into the podcast vibe. So, it's 1960. South Africa. Apartheid is at its height. Black liberation movements are getting banned. Right? People are being sent to exile. Some people are getting life sentences just because they want equal rights. So they're labeling them as communist. So during that time, a lot of people are getting killed. And there's the Sharpeville massacre and then the 1976 Soweto. With those things happening, pressure starts coming down on apartheid. Pressure starts coming on the South African government. The countries outside didn't want to deal with South Africa, which was affecting South Africa's economy. So 1990, they released Nelson Mandela. And then right after they released him, even before they released him, they were having negotiations to allow black people to vote and freedom negotiations. That's what they were. And at the end, that's how we entered into the first GNU. So there's a difference between the GNU that was happening then and the GNU that's happening now. We're going to be looking at the problems that led to the collapse of the first GNU and see if they might potentially make the current GNU collapse again. That's what we're gonna do. But know that there's gonna be different. It's a different climate, of course, a different political climate, and everything is different. So the first thing that led to a collapse was ideological differences between the parties. The parties that were there was like the ANC, of course, and then the National Party, and also the IFP, the one from KZN that no one cares of. No one seems to care about. So yeah, it was those three. So of course, ideologically, they're different. We know the National Party, I mean, the apartheid guys. Of course, like you are in government with people who you hate to the core because of their ideologies. Because you are in government with a bunch of racists, bruv. FW de Klerk was there. Everyone was there. They brought everybody together. So that's what was happening. Ideological differences were the main thing that broke the thing. Because like, if you start from a place where you don't agree at all, because they didn't agree when it came to a lot of things. They didn't agree to when it came to like economy. Like they didn't agree when it came to like land reform. Of course, we want the land. We've always wanted the land. The ANC has always wanted the land, but they're being soft about it. They're being soft about it, and also affirmative action, because you know that, of course, like the apartheid guys, they don't want affirmative action, things like that. So that's one of the things that broke the first GNU. Another thing was just power struggles. Of course, you have the ANC, they're the most dominant. So the National Party felt a threat. The National Party and IFP, they were getting swallowed up. And they felt a threat. They felt that it was coming. They felt like they were gonna get influenced, and they wanted to hold a grip to the provinces that they had. Because IFP had KZN back then, and it's like they were booming back then, apparently. So they felt threatened because of power struggles, of course. So it caused a lot of tension. So another thing that broke the first GNU, there was a bunch of corruption scandals. Of course, there's gonna be corruption scandals. You know, there's gonna be corruption scandals. So there were a bunch of corruption scandals, Sarafina to whatever, and like, yeah, arms deals and stuff. So there was a bunch of corruption scandals, and when there's corruption, niggas are gonna point fingers. Right? There's not gonna be trust when you are doing something with one person, and turns out the other guy is corrupt. No, you're not gonna trust that person, of course. But the thing is, like, white people like acting like they kind of like they act. Okay, of course, corruption. There's a lot of corruption, but there was always corruption. There's always been corruption. If there wasn't corruption, then the word corruption wouldn't exist. Tell me, do you know what corruption is in your language? Do you? Yeah. So it's prevalent in the English language. So yeah, that's one of the things that caused it. And personality clashes. You got big personalities there. You got Nelson Mandela, you've got F.W. de Klerk, you've got that other guy from KZN, whatever, man. No one cares about him. So Nelson Mandela is a big figure, but he has a great story behind him. No one's gonna be, you're not gonna beat Nelson Mandela in a popularity contest. Of course, he's gonna have a bigger personality. He's gonna have a bigger personality. And then you have F.W. de Klerk. F.W. de Klerk was the president, and now, okay, you were president, and now you're being relegated back downwards. Nah, come on. Man, I can even see it from a white person's eye, bruv. Man, even if they say people change, bruv, some things are hard to change, and you can't change them very easily. They take a lot of time. So, bruv, you go from managing a country, go from being a president of a country where black people are like second-class citizens, and then today you're no longer president. You're leading under a black person who used to be a second-class citizen. Bruv, nah, man, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. So it's one of the things that caused it to collapse. So the last thing that caused it to collapse, the ANC wanted to consolidate all the power, bruv. They wanted to swallow them all. They wanted all the political power. They were smooth about it, but they did want all the political power. They didn't want to be challenged at all. They didn't want to be challenged. And also, these guys, the KZN guy, F.W. de Klerk, and like Nelson Mandela, they had like different ways of leading. They had different ways of leading. So that's what caused the last GNU to collapse. That's what caused it. And we have this GNU right now. The thing about this GNU, it's so different from the last one. It's like the thing is, like, when you call it government of national unity, there's usually a threat in a country. There's usually a crisis. And like, are we at a crisis really? Really, are we at a crisis? Nah, man, we're not at a crisis. The ANC is at a crisis. The ANC is at a crisis because they haven't gotten like 40 before. It's very low. They lost 17% of their vote. You lose 17% of your votes. That's a crisis. That's a crisis. So they saw that they had to actually, it's just an excuse to bring in the DA, because they think the DA will help them, and also they hope that they can gain something from bringing these parties together. They're just hoping they have something to gain from it. I don't know if it's gonna work, but I wanna see too. I wanna see. So what will happen? Let's see if this GNU will collapse. If this GNU collapses, it's gonna be because of internal tensions. It's gonna be because of internal tensions. Of course, the first thing, there is ideological differences. As I mentioned it in the first GNU, there's still ideological differences, but they're not as severe as they were in 1994. So it's not as bad as it was, but still there is ideological differences. There are ideological differences, because ANC, by a lot of people, they're seen as a sellout. They're selling out. They're selling out to the white monopoly structure, as the EFF says. That's what they're thinking. They think it's happening. And in the side of MK, the whole thing is just meaningless. They just see it as meaningless. It's just a meaningless thing. They see it as a meaningless thing, and they don't see the cost of it. So another thing that might break this, of course, ANC has too much dominance. ANC is the biggest one, of course. They're at 40%, but 40% is still big. 40% is still huge, man. 40% is huge. And the second one is 20%. The second one who comes after is half of them. Come on, man. Come on. So all these political parties that are gonna be in this JNU, they're also under threat of being absolved by the ANC. Not absorbed. Yeah. Absorbed into the ANC. It might happen because the ANC has more power. If you have more power, you get to dictate more things. And there's gonna be when it comes to policies, when it comes to implementing policies, we're gonna see, because like some things, of course there's gonna be struggles. There's things that you're gonna there's places where you have to compromise, and there's things that you don't want to compromise as a person. And whoever compromises more, the person is getting swallowed. The party that is gonna compromise more is gonna get swallowed into the other party, or the one that compromises its core values, its core ideologies. It's gonna get swallowed, and it's gonna lose its vote. It's gonna lose its vote in the next election. So, bruv. And of course, there's gonna be corruption. Like when the corruption starts, because now they're just starting. Everyone is happy. Like people are celebrating. Ramaphosa is president again. Like he's celebrating because he's a president again. But that was the easy part. But the thing, it looks good for now. It looks like the meeting they had went accordingly, because I see that the DA is also, they gave like deputy speaker. They gave it to a DA, some DA lady. It was weird. It was weird for me, like seeing that. It was weird, man. I don't know. I'm not racist, but I felt kind of weird when that happened. It's like, of course, I do want white people to be happy, and I don't know. But I feel, I'm still apprehensive about the whole thing, man. I'm still apprehensive about the whole thing, and I'm still not sure about these white people, man. So when like you start getting like corruption scandals, right? That's where you're gonna see the tension's gonna start right there. It's gonna start somewhere right there, because people are gonna be pointing fingers. They're gonna be, your whole government of national unity is corrupt. It's corrupt. They're like, no. We didn't do this. It's the ANC guy that did it, or it's the DI nigga that did it, and like that's gonna be, it's gonna cause some tension. And of course, socio-economic pressures, bruv. When you start compromising on your ideas, you were talking to your people. When you were talking to your people, when you were running, you were telling your people this and that. Hey, we're not gonna do this. These are the ideas. We're not gonna compromise. But then when you start compromising because you're in the government of national unity, your people are not gonna like you as much, bruv. Your people are not gonna like you as much as they used to. So there's always problems that are gonna come like that. So the thing is, this thing is unpredictable. Honestly, we've never been here before, and we're looking at it. I'm just looking. I'm just observing from far. See, because like I'm a South African. You have to like know about South Africa if you're a South African. Yeah. So like I saw like the ANC was like the people don't want. They didn't vote for a majority party, which means they want us to work all together. It's just an excuse that they're using, man. It's an excuse. Maybe, yeah. But I've never heard anyone say, I want all these parties to work together. I've never heard anyone say that. Maybe you've heard them, but I've never heard anyone say that. But that's what the insinuating is happening. So, and that's the same thing John Steenhuisen is saying. They want us to work together. They want us to work together. We'll see. We'll see. And we have the IFP there. The IFP has always been there. They were there in the first GNU and they're here in the second GNU. And honestly, I don't know what they're useful for. It's because they have the Zulu guys there and they're useless. Who's the IFP guy? Do you know him? I don't know that nigga. I've seen him in some interviews, but I don't care about that guy, man. And you have the Patriotic Alliance. Patriotic Alliance is useless, man. That guy just talks too much. But that guy came in and was like, bro, that guy is just so happy. It's like I saw him come out. Gayton McKenzie comes in and he's like, I've been given a second chance. I was in jail. Who cares whether he was in jail? Why are you telling us about jail, man? This nigga is coming to us and he's telling in parliament and he's talking about his time in prison. Who cares about your time in prison? I didn't even know this guy was in prison. We don't want a guy to be like who was in prison, and this nigga is begging to be a minister of Home Affairs. Man. This man is begging, bruv. I've never seen a man beg to be a minister before in my life. That guy is begging, man. He wants a seat at the table. But the thing is, I saw him. He came in and was like, man, if they don't give me a minister of something, then it means we're not working together. It means he's gonna leave the government of national unity. I don't know, maybe they're gonna give it to him. And then he came back the next time. He was like, nah, I can't be like a spoiled kid who comes with the ball and then when he gets benched, he takes the ball and runs away. This guy, man. I don't know what he's useful for. I think he's good at galvanizing the colored people. That's what he's good for. So that's why they have him there. And then of course you have Zuma. Zuma thinks the whole thing is nonsense. He thinks the whole thing is nonsense. He thinks it's just an excuse for ANC and DA to just be together and try to help each other. Honestly, that's what he thinks. And then you have Malema, of course. I think that the white monopoly structure, what state-owned enterprise. Yeah, that's what's happening, man. But we're gonna see, because MK and EFF are just gonna get bigger. They're just gonna get bigger, because if they get smaller, bruv, they're dying. Because EFF lost 9%, bruv, 9%. You're useless at 9%. So they've been relegated. They have fewer seats in this. They have fewer seats. So we're gonna see what they're gonna be working. But of course they're gonna try and hold them accountable for the decisions they make. We'll see what type of havoc comes out of it. So. If you're the best podcast in the world, they didn't call you a great podcast. They call you the podcast vibe. Subscribe. Until next time.